Today we're going to work towards some back bends, but we're going to start by getting there through a lot of like breath work and core stabilization, and then we'll just see how things go as we go along. The theme that I've been working with this week, which actually my therapist sort of presented me with this, is boundaries. How do we define what our boundaries are? How do we really know what it is that we're asking for when we're asking people to adhere to things? What is it saying about what is it saying about us if we don't ask for what we need? And what is it saying about another if they're not willing to at least try to help us meet those needs? And so I've been playing with that concept throughout this week, and we're going to see how we play with it in our practice. The invitation is to come back to this quote by Prentice Hempel, which I love how they say this. And they say that boundaries are where I can simultaneously love you and I can simultaneously love myself. So as we go through every single shape that we encounter, I want you to notice how you can love the shape, but you can love your body, you can love your breath, you can love the sensations that are coming up. You can love where you need to pull back a little bit and love where you can open up a little bit. Like, how can we find a sense of equanimity so we're not just going all gung-ho one way or the other, because at that point, boundaries get crossed and we're not able to show up as our full selves and authentically, and nor are we able to allow another to show up as their full self. So we're just going to use this as a practice ground. And so the first thing that we're going to start with is tabletop. So let's go ahead and find ourselves in tabletop. I would encourage you to pad your knees with a blanket if your knees happen to get sensitive or your shins get sensitive. And then once you find yourself sorted with that, let's go ahead and draw your big toes to touch. Your knees can be as close or as wide apart as possible, but you'll start by pushing your butt back towards your heels. So you'll find first this boundary. Continue to look forward at your hands. Press forward into your hands. And then as you drop the bum towards the heels, you might allow the ears to fall between the arms. You might allow the forehead to touch the floor, and you'll find yourself making your way into child's pose. And as you're here in child's pose, continue to press down and forward into the hands. Continue to allow the arms to be as long and as engaged as they can be. And then we're going to take the first 5 breaths here. So you can let an audible exhale come with the first couple of breaths. And then after you've taken maybe 2 or 3 breaths, letting an audible exhale just let you settle into the shape. You'll start to then close your lips and tone the back of the throat and breathe as deeply as you can into the boundaries of your legs, noticing how that pushes up into the back, the low back area. It might even push into the upper mid back. And you'll just take 2 more breath cycles here, pressing the hands down and forward, drawing the hips a little further back. Yep. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. On your next in breath, go ahead and lift your head about 1 inch from the floor and start to walk your hands over to the right side of your space. From here, let's push down and forward with that left hand, lower the ears in line with the arms and draw back with that left arm isometrically, draw back with that left hip. If this feels like a good sensation here where you can still breathe into that left side, you might stay here and breathe. Some of you might walk that right hand underneath your right shoulder. You might press into your right hand and then start to take a little bit of a twist towards the right. And again, you might take 4 or 5 breaths here, pulsing in and out of the shape, finding that boundary, finding that edge, finding that sense where you're able to breathe in and out of the shape. And again, you're just playing your edge. How do you love the shape and love your breath simultaneously? How do you love your capacities and your potentials? On your next in breath, if you're in that twist, gently unwind. And then we'll all come back to center, and you'll just take a moment to pause here. Just observe for a moment where your right side is and where your left side is. And then as we're ready, we'll try this on the other side. Go ahead and lift your head about 1 inch from the floor. Walk your hands all the way over towards your left. Press down and forward with that right hand. Draw the outer right hip back, and you might just find that nice side body stretch here along the right side of the torso. You might find that you want to walk the left hand underneath the left shoulder, lightly press into the floor, and you've got about 4 breath cycles here. Maybe pulsing in and out of the shape, lifting the head a little bit up, and then maybe twisting a little bit more towards the left, but you're really paying attention to what's happening on the right side of the body, how you're breathing, how you might be feeling a bit of opening across the lats of that right arm. Yep. And then at the end of the next exhale, you'll inhale and unwind and walk yourself back to center. Nice job. Let's go ahead and inhale and come up to hands and knees. And you'll just start by taking a few cats and cows. And I want you to just pay attention to how this feels. So the bones create boundaries in many ways. They hold the organs sort of in the container of our fleshy, muscly bits. It also protects us. They protect us from being harmed in ways when we fall that without that support might not happen. And actually, I should probably ask Laura to give us a real definition of what all is happening with our internal body a little bit later. But you'll just take a few moments to just take some cats and cows. And then as you feel ready, make this organic movement. So again, you're playing the edges. You're noticing where your body ends. You're noticing how the breath is moving through the body and how it has more capacity in some directions than others. And you've got about 4 more breath cycles doing whatever the heck you happen to be doing. And again, we're using this as the opportunity to really notice how we can love ourselves and love the shape, how we can love ourselves and love the directions that are being provided, how we can love ourselves and love this moment as it is. Our boundaries are enabling us to do just that. Awesome. And then once you feel pretty complete with your exploration, let's find ourselves into a neutral tabletop. First thing I want you to do is walk your knees, ankles, and shins together. Curl both sets of toes under, and you're going to keep your hands on the floor for a moment, but start to, again, push your butt back towards your heels. And we'll find a gentle stretch happening at the soles of the feet. Some of you might walk your hands back just a bit, but we're going to stay here for just 3 or 4 breath cycles. And you'll notice what this feels like. Notice if there are any adjustments you need to make to be able to be in this shape in a comfortable, exploratory fashion. Awesome. And at the end of your next exhalation, you'll take an inhale and come forward back to hands and knees once again. Now make sure your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. Your knees are underneath your hips. Yep. From here, let's go ahead and slide your right foot back, tuck the toes under and straighten the right leg long. Now press into the hands a lot until your upper back floats, and then inhale, float your right leg up and away from the floor. Yep. As you exhale, draw those ribs in a little bit more, press back through your right leg. Option to stay right here or reach your left arm forward, and you'll breathe for about 3 breath cycles. And again, there's a bit of a boundary. Can you press that left hand into an imaginary wall to the right? Yep. Can you reach that inner right thigh towards the left as though you're pressing into a wall? Yep. And can you just observe and notice how you feel? Nice job. On your next exhale, lower the hand and then lower the leg. Take a few cats and cows if you'd like, and just observe and notice how this feels. Nice work. And then we'll go ahead and find ourselves in neutral position once again. Press down into the hands, slide your left leg back, tuck the toes under, and then when you're ready, you'll inhale and lift that leg up, parallel-ish to the floor. You might stay here and just draw your front ribs into the back body, or you might reach your right arm forward. But we'll pause and we'll breathe here. Turn your right palm to face the left. and press into an imaginary wall to the left side of you. Yep. Hug that left leg in towards the right. Yep. And then on your next exhale, lower the hand, lower the legs. Take 3 more cats and cows. And again, we're just paying attention. What is the body telling us? What is the breath telling us? What is this moment telling us? It's interesting because I think that for myself, I have a hard time with boundaries because I think that it means that I'm being mean or, not likable or pleasant or, whatever. But Prentice Hipple talks about that being the space where we can actually fully know one another and love one another as well as loving ourselves. All right, let's go ahead and come to a neutral spot. Walk your knees, ankles, and shins together. Walk your feet back to sit on your heels, and we'll come into toe squat proper. Now, once you come up, you might need to curl your pinky toes under. You might find that this is just going to be a lot for you. So if that's the case, no worries. But we're going to take about 4 of these. So with the spine vertical, you'll inhale and you'll sweep both arms forward and up. And then you'll exhale, hands will come forward and down, but we'll come back down. So you'll just do 4 of these. And as you do these 4, you might find that it might become a full big circle. You might find that you're only doing a half circle. Sometimes my shoulders don't want to do that full circle. Sometimes they just want to do a half. And so we start with a half. Awesome. So you're just inhaling and coming up. And you're exhaling and sitting down. Awesome. You can keep that, or we can just do one arm. Right hand touches the block or the floor, and you'll inhale and cross the body. And you'll exhale and come back down. And we'll stay just with that left arm. Inhale, cross the body. And exhale, come back down. 2 more times, just on the right side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And last time, inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Take a moment to pause and toe squat. Notice what you notice between the sides, and then we'll try it all on the other side. So you'll inhale, and you'll sweep your right arm over to the left arm pushing into the floor of the block, and exhale sits you back down. And as you take these last 3 on your own, you're just noticing. So we're finding a little bit of a side body. We're finding a little bit of a back bend. We're finding a little bit of quad engagement. We're finding a little bit of toe squat torture. And we're also noticing, can we breathe? Each one of these has their own boundaries, their own limits. Awesome. And then you'll just go ahead and sit. Take 3 breaths, and you might take some shoulder circles as you're here. After you've taken your 3 breaths, you'll come forward onto hands and knees. Pitter patter the tops of your feet if you'd like. Take a counter stretch if you'd like. But then you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And you're just noticing. Yep. And then from there, let's come back to down for hands and knees. Okay. So from here, separate your knees so they're hip distance apart. Press down into your hands, draw the low belly in and up, and then slide your right foot back, tuck the toes under, straighten the right leg long, and then you'll float that right leg parallel to the floor. From here, you can stay right here, or you might extend your left arm forward. From here, you can stay right here in bird dog. We'll be here for 6 breaths. Some of you will choose to contract your right knee and your left elbow underneath each other to touch. Some of you will stay right here. Yep. And so you'll just take 6 breaths, inhaling, extending arm and leg, exhaling, drawing them together. And you're just paying attention, opposite hand, opposite knee. So we're doing bird dog, Steve. There we go. And after you've done 6, you'll go ahead and just lower that left hand and lower that right knee. Take 3 cats and cows on your own. And again, you just notice. Notice what you notice. How's the body working? How's the breath working? That's good, Julie. Awesome. After you've taken 3, go ahead and come back to a neutral spine. And we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So press down through both hands, make sure the knees are underneath the hips, inflate the low back, and then send your left leg back parallel-ish to the floor. You might choose to keep both hands on the floor or reach your right arm forward in opposition. You can choose to stay here or exhale and draw that right elbow to your left knee underneath, and then inhale and extend them back. And you've got 6 of these. And so we're pressing down into that left hand no matter what we're doing. We are pressing down into that right shin no matter what we're doing. We are breathing no matter what we're doing. And we're allowing ourselves to just observe what is being asked of me. I think different boundaries are sort of created in different circumstances when different things come up. And so they are fluid just as we are fluid. Awesome. After you've taken 6, you'll go ahead and lower that right hand. You'll go ahead and lower that left knee. Yep. And then from here, inhale, little cow shape. Exhale, curl both toes under, lift your pelvis high, downward facing dog with both knees super bent. Both knees super bent. Both knees super bent. So with your knees super bent, let's press down through both hands, lift up through both armpits, and see if you can lift your hips a little higher. Nice job. Nice work, guys. And you've just got 2 or 3 more breath cycles here. So you might just be still. You might find that you want to focus on just deepening your breath or engaging the muscles in the shoulders. Great. On your next in breath, let's go ahead and come back down to hands and knees. Awesome sauce. Okay, from here, let's tuck both sets of toes under. Let's walk our right foot slightly to the right. Right foot slightly to the right. Yep. And then from here, I want you to curl your left heel to your left butt. Start to roll to your right. Reach your left hand back. Grab the outside edge of your left foot. And then we're going to take a baby Chapasana. So everyone push down into your right hand, push down into your right knee, squeeze your left heel to your butt. And then from there, you might kick the foot back and open the heart and just take a moment to breathe here. Yep. Everyone lengthen your tailbone back to that left knee. Yeah. And then very gently, you'll release that left hand, release that left foot, come back to hands and knees. Take a cat and cow set if you'd like, and just notice what you notice. And then we'll go ahead and try all that on the other side. So curl both sets of toes under, walk your left foot to the left. You might want to walk the left hand slightly forward and to the left. Draw the right heel to the right butt cheek, roll to the left, and then grab the top of your right foot with your right hand. From there, everyone lengthen your tailbone back to that right knee. Some of you might kick that right foot back behind you, letting the heart open. Noticing if you feel a stretch happening on the front of that right shoulder. Nice work, guys. And then very gently, you'll come out. You'll come back to hands and knees. You'll take a series of cats and cows, and then we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. And again, you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Nice work. So after your set of cats and cows, lift your hips to downward facing dog. And for this down dog, you might choose to be still again. You might choose to slowly pedal your legs, but you're just paying attention to what the body is doing and how you're feeling and how you're breathing. Great. Awesome. Let's go ahead and inhale and come forward into plank. Let's pause here for a moment in plank. Make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders. Lift up through your inner armpits and lengthen your tailbone back. Now everyone push the floor away until your upper back rounds just a smidge. There we go. And lengthen the tailbone back. And you just got 6 breath cycles here. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And you're noticing how full you can breathe, how deep you can breathe. The end of your next exhale, gently lower your knees to the mat. Make sure your knees are directly underneath your hips. And then walk your hands forward for Anahatasana, puppy pose. So your knees stay underneath your hips, your hands walk forward. And I want you to see if you can lift your inner armpits up and away from the floor. Draw your front ribs in towards the back body, and then see if you can melt the whole chest to the floor. So it's a really active shape. Yep, there we go. On your next in-breath, gently lift the head, start to walk the hands back. And then let's go ahead and make our way back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Great. And I want you to just check in. How are you breathing right now? Can you feel and hear your breath? Is it smooth? Is it steady? Is it consistent? We're going to go into a flow in just a moment. And so I want you to pay attention to how the breath is moving, because that tells us how we're dealing with what's happening mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically. And so that's going to be the most important part. On your next in-breath, go ahead and gaze towards your hands. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, step or float top of space. Nice work, guys. Once you get there, separate your feet hip distance apart. And then I do encourage you to have some type of props near the top of your space. So that's good if they're already there. From there, let's go ahead and inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Awesome. From here, hands on blocks or floor, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, sweep your low belly in, and then inhale, float your right leg parallel to the floor. Exhale, touch your right toes to the floor. Inhale, lift the right foot up. Exhale, touch the toes down. You've got 4 more sets of those. So you're just paying attention to how you can engage the back of the leg. You're breathing. You're good, Jenny. And you're just noticing what you notice. Little toe taps to engage the glutes. This is our last one. Awesome. The next time your right toe touches the floor, take a moment to pause. Step that foot even further back and come into a low lunge. From here, inhale, bend your front knee, lower the back knee to the floor and come up for Anjaneyasana. Awesome. And so once you find yourself in Anjaneyasana, you might keep both hands here on that front thigh. You might inhale and sweep your right arm up, but you're just going to take a moment to pause and a moment to breathe. Awesome. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will lower your right hand to the floor and take a twist towards the left. And you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe. If you've lowered that right hand, you might reach the left arm up, but you're going to just pause and breathe. Awesome sauce. On your next exhale, everyone lower both hands to the floor. Straighten your back leg long and stay there for a moment in that low lunge. Plant both palms on the mat. Take a big breath in and exhale, step your left foot back, plank pose. Take a moment to pause. Take a moment to breathe. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will lower your knees to the mat. And some of you will do a little push-up. But you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe. Yep. From your push-up position, you'll go back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. And just notice, where are you at now? What's happening right here, right now? I heard something fascinating this week. It was basically this idea that we hold on to things when we're holding on to the past, But when we're really able to let go, we're fully here in the present. We're trusting that the future will be completely okay. Next in breath, go ahead and shift your gaze forward. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, step or float, top of space. Nice work. From there, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. So we're going to do that on the other side. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge forward at your hips, forward fold. Nice work. Hands on blocks or floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, sweep your belly in, and then inhale, reach your left foot up and back behind you. There we go. Inhale, lower the left toes to touch the mat. And exhale, float the foot back up. So you've got 4 more sets of these, and you're just paying attention. Can you squeeze that left glute as you lower the left toes to the floor? Can you make sure that your left hip doesn't drop as you lower the left toes to the floor? You're doing good, Julie. Yep. And then the next time your left toes touch the floor, go ahead and pause there. Slide the left foot long and back, low lunge. Inhale, lower that left knee to the mat and come on up for Anjaneyasana. And again, you're going to press into that back foot or back knee, press into that front foot, and inhale, sweep your left arm up and overhead. And some of you will stay right here, just breathing into your left side body. Some of you will lower that left hand to the inside edge of your right foot. Some of you might take a twist towards the right, but you're just taking a moment to pause. You're taking a moment to breathe. You're noticing what you notice. And if you're taking that twist, maybe the right arm lifts up, maybe it doesn't, but you're just observing. Awesome. On your next exhale, everyone lower both hands to the mat. Tuck the back toes under if they're not, straighten the back leg long, and just take a breath in that low lunge position. On your next exhale, step back to plank pose. Option to stay right here. Option to come forward and take an up dog or a cobra, your choice. And then you'll make your way back to downward facing dog. But whatever you choose to do, are you breathing? Is your breath smooth? Is it continuous? Is your breath the most important thing, or are you trying to make the body do something? Often we lose sight of our boundaries when we're not staying very connected to what's actually happening for us. And we're getting, swept up in what we think we ought to be doing, getting swept up into habits or patterns. Awesome. All right. From here, let's go ahead and inhale, look forward. As you exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float, top of space. Nice work. From there, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands to heart center. Okay. Inhale, bend your knees. As you exhale, draw the low belly in. And then inhale, reach your arms forward, or maybe reach them up. But you're going to sit for a breath cycle in chair pose. You'll just pause and you'll breathe. On your next in-breath, stand up, reach up, look up. And as you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Hands will come back to the blocks or the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, sweep your belly in. Inhale, float that right leg up and back behind you. So now we're in a warrior 3 variation. Hands are on the blocks or floor. Hug that right inner thigh over to the left like you're pushing into a wall. Lift your outer right hip up and everyone take a big breath in. On your next exhale, bend your front knee, step that foot confidently back, coming into a low lunge. Yeah, take a moment to ground through your feet. And then from here, inhale, reach both arms up and overhead, high crescent lunge. 3 steady breaths. And so you're pushing into that front foot, you're pushing into that back foot, you're hugging both together, and you're just noticing what you notice. Awesome. On your next exhale, frame the front foot with both hands. Listen closely. Press down into your hands. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back, 3-legged dog. Awesome. From here, everyone bend that left knee. And I want you to take 3 small circles with the knee. And you can start whichever direction feels best to you, but you're going to take 3 circles. 3 circles one way, and then you'll do 3 circles the other way. Awesome. And once you're balanced between the 2 sides, you'll go ahead and straighten that left leg and lower it next to the right. You might choose to stay here. You might choose to inhale and come forward into a plank. You might choose to stay there. You might choose to cycle through an up dog or cobra, but you're paying attention. You're noticing what feels like it's honoring yourself as well as honoring the needs of the moment. Great. Once you're ready, you'll make your way back to downward facing dog. Awesome. From down dog, inhale and gaze forward to your hands. Exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, travel to the top of your space. Awesome. From there, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, fold all the way in. Feet hip distance apart. Inhale, sit, Utkatasana, chair pose. And you've just got 3 breath cycles here. Everyone press down into your big toes. Yep. Press out into your outer knees and hug your outer hips in. Yep. And then next in breath, stand up, reach up, look up. As you exhale, hands to heart center. Take a moment to close your eyes. Notice the weight in the feet. Notice the strength through the legs. Notice the lift through the spine. Notice the ease in the shoulders and notice the breath. Great. Next in breath. Gently open the eyes and circle sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Again, hands to blocks or floor. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, scoop the belly, sweep that left leg back, warrior 3 variation. And you want to flex through that back foot a lot, lifting that left thigh parallel to the floor, hugging that inner left thigh in. You'll take a big breath in here, and on your next exhale, bend the front knee, step the left foot long and back and pause. Root down in your feet first, and when you feel established in your feet, you'll inhale and come up for high crescent lunge. Nice. Good job, guys. And then you've just got 3 breaths here. You press down into your front foot, you press down into your back foot, you suck those points together. Everyone hug your outer hips in right to left, reach up through your pinky fingers and see if you can lift the collarbones and the chest just a bit. Nice. Next exhale, hands come back to the floor. Press down into your hands, inhale, sweep your right leg up and back, 3-legged dog. And then again, you'll bend that right knee and take 3 little circles, and you go both directions. And we're trying to make sure that our left shoulder isn't bending under the weight of our arms, so that arm is strong, that left armpit is lifting away from the floor, even as the right leg is moving. Awesome. And once you've done both sets, both sides, you'll go ahead and lower that right leg next to the left. You might choose to cycle through an up dog or cobra. You might choose to rest in child's pose or downward facing dog, but you're paying attention to what's happening for you, what's needed for you. And then once you make your way back to your downward facing dog, you'll just take 3 breaths. Okay. Awesome. Sauce. From down dog, we'll go ahead and inhale and gaze towards our hands. As we exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float top of space. Nice. From there, again, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold in. Feet are hip distance apart. Inhale, bend your knees, sit your pelvis low, Utkatasana, chair pose. 3 breaths. Take whichever variation you'd like with your arms, but I want you to see how low you can sit in your legs for chair pose, how upright you can keep your vertical spine, and how deep you can make the breath. Yep. Different boundaries are going on, and you're just breathing and you're noticing what you notice. On your next in-breath, you'll stand up, reach up, look up, and then exhale, lower the hands, soften the gaze, or close the eyes. Notice what you notice. To be very clear about what's important to us, sometimes we have to take a moment to pause. We have to take a moment to be still. It's so easy to be caught up in the flow, but how do we actually act in a way that's of integrity to us? All right, let's go ahead and add on. Inhale, circle sweep your arms. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. Awesome. Again, hands on blocks or floor. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, sweep your right leg up and back parallel to the floor, back to that warrior 3 variation. Now for this one, we're going to be here for about 3 breaths. So everyone inhale and lift your spine parallel to the floor. Let your sternum reach forward, and you might choose to stay here. You might draw your hands to heart center as you kick back through that right leg, as you reach forward through your crown. Nice job. The end of your next exhale, gently bend the left knee, step the right foot long and back and pause. Spin the right foot down for warrior 1. Root down through the feet, and then inhale, bring the spine up for Virabhadrasana 1. Great. And so with that left hip drawing back, the right hip spinning forward, see if you can reach up through the arms. On your next exhale, open the arms out and down to your hips. Interlace your hands at your low back. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears. Draw the shoulder blades onto your back body and lift your heart. Keep pressing into both feet and hugging them in, and choose to stay right here. Or you might draw your ear into that left inner knee, the left ear, maybe down to the left inner ankle. But you're taking a moment to pause. You're taking a moment to breathe. That left knee stays bent. The right leg stays strong. So Julie, twist your body more to the left. Other left. There we go. Very gently draw your hands to your hips. Release your hands down the legs and to the floor. Straighten that front leg long and take a moment to pause here. Some of you will peel the sole of that left foot up and away from the floor for pyramid pose. Some of you will bend into that front knee and straighten that front leg a few times to just find your hamstrings. But you're paying attention to what's feeling appropriate to you in this moment, in this shape. It's an opportunity to explore how it's going. Yep. And so for those of you that are in movement, go ahead and come back to stillness. Let's all bend our front knee. Plant your hands on the mat and step yourself back to downward facing dog. Choose to stay here or cycle through, but it's totally up to you. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. Awesome. And then once we find our way back to downward facing dog, we'll go ahead and try all that on the other side. So inhale, gaze to the top of your space. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, step or float top of space. Draw your feet hip distance apart. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold all the way in. Keep your fingers on the floor. Inhale, bend your knees. As you exhale, draw your low belly in. Draw your hands to heart center. Inhale, bend your knees and bring your spine up to vertical. And then again, your hands might go forward or they might go up and alongside your ears. We'll sit for 3 or 4 breaths in chair pose, and you're just noticing how that feels. Yep. Last breath cycle here. Next in breath, stand up, reach up, look up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Okay. Last side. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. Hands on blocks or floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, scoop the belly and sweep that left leg back. Now pause. Make sure those left toes are pointing straight down. The inner left thigh is pressing to the right. Then lift your spine parallel to the floor, and you might choose to stay here. You might draw your hands to heart center and hover for a bit in warrior 3. Yep. Nice. And then as you're ready, you'll gently bend that right knee. You'll step your left foot long and back, and you'll take a moment to pause. Spin the left foot down for warrior 1. Root down into the feet first, and then inhale, come all the way up, Virabhadrasana 1. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. You're pausing and you're breathing. Great. On your next exhale, arms open out, down towards your hips. Go ahead and take awkward opposite interlace behind you. Draw the shoulders up to the ears, the shoulder blades onto the back, lift the heart. You might choose to stay here, or you might draw that right ear inside the right knee, the right ear inside the right ankle. You continue to bend into that right knee. Draw that outer right hip back and press onto the knife edge of your left foot. Awesome. We've got 2 more breath cycles here. At the end of your next exhale, draw the hands to your pelvis, slide them down that front leg and draw them down to the floor. And you might put your hands on your blocks. You'll then straighten that front leg. You might peel the sole of the right foot up and away from the floor. You might bend and straighten that front knee. So you're allowing yourself to explore your hamstrings. The blocks really help because it just gives you a little bit of support. And you've got 2 or 3 more breath cycles. If you're being still, how can you find a little bit more awareness of just how the body's opening even in that stillness? Great. And then all of us that are in movement come to stillness. Let's go ahead and inhale, bend that front knee. As you exhale, plant your palms. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Again, cycle through or not, and we'll all meet in a child's pose position. And then you just got 3 breaths once you find your way into child's pose. 3 steady breaths. Great. Okay. Gently walk your hands back towards your knees. Draw your spine up to vertical. And then we're going to have a question and answer. I wanted us to play with dancer. I'm not quite sure how that'll go. So how are we feeling about playing with that? I got 2 thumbs up from Laura. I got a thumb up from Barbara. Okay, so we're gonna play with that. So before we go any further, I want us to just make our way up to stand. So you will get up to stand however you'd like. If you feel like you want a wall or a chair, by all means, grab a wall or a chair. Okay, so once you have that wall, once you have that chair, we're all going to start by just drawing weight into our left foot. Bend your right knee and draw your right heel towards your butt. Grab your right foot with your right hand, push your left hand on your left hip. Squeeze your knees together and see if you can square both shoulders towards the top of your space. Now, if this feels pretty good for you, you might stay here. Some of you might reach your left arm forward or onto a wall. Some of you might then start to kick your right foot back into your right hand. And so you're not trying to reach forward necessarily, you're just trying to kick back. And however far back the leg goes is how far the leg goes. Great. And then we'll go ahead and gently release that, coming back up to center. Take a moment to find the weight in both feet. Just notice what you notice. And then bring your right hand to your right hip. Bend your left knee. Grab your left ankle with your left hand. Draw your knees together. Maybe flex through that back foot, and you might stay here. You might reach that right arm forward, and you might start to kick your left foot back. And so this is something we haven't done in a while, so it's not going to be super fantastic necessarily, but that doesn't mean that's a problem. You're just pausing and you're breathing, and then you're going to gently come out of this. Yeah. Okay. We're going to try it again. So I want you to try this time. Let's start with both hands on our hips. I want you to bend your knees just a little bit. The standing leg, I want you to squeeze your bum as though you're trying to really like crack a walnut or something underneath your butt cheek. So if it helps, put your left hand underneath your left butt cheek, squeeze your muscles around your hand until you feel that engaged. Now, bend your right knee, grab the outside edge of your right ankle. Now, as much as your left butt cheek is engaged, see if you can engage the right butt cheek the same. Now, with both butt cheeks engaged, you might reach your left hand forward. With both butt cheeks engaged, you might start to kick your right foot back. But both butt cheeks are engaged, your left knee might be bent, but you're squeezing both butt cheeks. Yeah, awesome sauce. And then you'll gently come out of that again, squeezing both butt cheeks. Awesome. And then we'll go ahead and try that again on the other side. So bend your knees slightly, bring both hands onto your hips. You might bring your right hand to touch your right low butt area just to squeeze it, making sure it's engaged. And then bend your left knee and reach around and grab the top of your left foot. Keep squeezing both butt cheeks. You might reach your right hand forward. You might start to kick your left leg back, but you're squeezing both butt cheeks. That right knee is as bent, the standing leg is bent as it needs to be. Yeah, that looks so much better, guys. Good job. And then you'll gently come out of this. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and face the side of our mat. Separate your feet about 3 feet apart. Last little thing before we wind down. Make sure your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Draw your hands to your hips. Draw the shoulder blades onto your back and lift your heart up. From here, you'll start to hinge forward at your hips. Once you're halfway, you might release your hands down to the floor underneath your shoulders. You might release the hands down to the floor completely and walk them forward or walk them back. And I want you to just notice if you can lower the head so it can be heavy. Some of you will want to bend one knee and then the other. Some of you will want to stay completely still. You're just allowing yourself to explore what's happening in your body. You're allowing yourself to love your body, love its ability to move, while also loving the breath, loving the body's limitations as indicated by the breath. Yep. And then those that are in movement, let's go ahead and come to stillness. Great. Now, everyone, I want you to walk your hands underneath your shoulders. So walk your hands underneath your shoulders. You might need to walk your hands forward just a little bit and start to wiggle walk your feet towards each other. Great. From here, you're going to bend your knees and sit all the way down to the floor. Nice. From there, once your butt is on the floor, just go ahead and open your legs out into a giant V shape. That was fun, Jenny. Now you're in Upavista Konasana. Some of you might need to sit on a blanket. Some of you might be completely fine as you are. Yep. Okay, and then I want everyone to just reach your right arm out to the right, reach your left arm up and overhead, and you're going to take a little side bend. So you're going to just pause and breathe. And you're reaching out through the legs and you're breathing into the side body and you're just noticing how this feels. You've got 2 more breath cycles here. Some of you might spin your chest up to the sky a little bit more. Some of you might find that you want to bend that top arm and bring it back behind you and grab your head. Some of you might want to bring it back so it's on your low back. So sorry, Laura, the left hand would touch the head. And then you could lean back into the head. Yeah, or lean back into the hand rather. Awesome. And then you'll gently come out of this, reaching out through the left arm, bringing the spine back to vertical. Take a moment to pause and notice the difference between the sides. And then we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So your left arm will come to the left, the right arm will reach up and overhead, and you'll exhale a little side bend over. And again, you're paying attention. Do you need to bend that top elbow and hold the back of the head? Do you want to twist the spine a little bit up to the sky? Do you want to twist it down to the floor? Do you want to take a half bind with that arm? And you're just paying attention. You're adjusting as the body's asking you to. Nice job, guys. And then very gently, we'll come out of this shape, reaching up through that right arm, coming back to center. From here, let's go ahead and just take a moment to pause there and just breathe. Can you be still? Can you be completely still and just notice what's going on? Yeah, great. Go ahead and bend your knees, draw the soles of the feet together for Adho Konasana. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will walk the feet pretty close to the pelvis. Some of you will walk the feet further away. So the closer the feet are to the pelvis, the more it stretches your adductors, your inner thighs. The further the feet are away from the pelvis, the more it stretches your outer hamstrings and outer hips. So you choose what works for you, and then you're just going to fold forward. And if folding forward looks like 1/2 inch, that's great. And then you're pausing and you're breathing, and you just got 3 more breath cycles here. Yep, and see if you can let your head be heavy. Yep. And then you're just noticing what's happening in the sensations of the body. Great. Very gently, let's start to walk the spine back up to vertical. Bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs, close your knees together. And then you're going to make your way onto your back. So Mama to be, we're going to do some twists. So You might just do windshield wipers seated if that feels okay for your hips. The rest of us, you're going to lay down on your backs. Go ahead and T or cactus your arms out to the side. And we've got a few options. Some of you can just windshield wiper your legs as you're already doing that. Some of you will just take a twist, either stacking both legs on top of each other or taking an eagle wrapped twist. You're going to take either these windshield wiper twists or you'll take a more static twist. But you're going to allow yourself to just pause and breathe. And those that are in movement, notice how one hip moves differently than the other and how they move differently from the right side to the left side doing those two movements. From those that are in the static twist, can you notice how you can find a line of stretch that goes from, well, you're all doing different twists, but the top leg thigh to that same shoulder. And then can you notice if you can soften across the chest and the abdomen as you twist? Okay, those of you who have twisted to one side, gently come out of it with an in-breath. And then you'll exhale, pause and center before you take the other side. Those that are doing the more movement twists, you might come to stillness now. We're going to do one final thing before we make our way to Shavasana. Awesome, and you're just pausing and you're breathing. Twists are an interesting set or shape to explore boundaries in, just because you can really feel how one part of the body is pushing against the other. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Oftentimes the body stops us before we could get hurt. And so how do we listen to that? How do we honor that? I think our boundaries do a very similar thing. They try to stop us before we get hurt or before we hurt another. On your next in-breath, those of you that are in that static twist, gently come back through center. Gently unwind your legs if they're wound and take a moment to be still in center. So the last thing that we're going to do is just a bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. So when you're ready, your hands will come alongside your hips, your feet will be hip distance apart, your knees will be bent, and then you'll just inhale, push down through the feet, push down through the arms, lift the hips high. You might walk the shoulders underneath each other. You might clasp the hands underneath you, but you'll just take 3 to 5 breaths here. And you're pressing into the big toes. You're lifting the outer hips up. You're noticing if the chin can tuck towards the sternum can lift towards the chin. And then when you feel complete, you'll exhale, you'll release your hands, you'll untuck the shoulders, you'll bring your pelvis back down to the floor and pause. Now, once you're still, I want you to take 3 breaths before you move. 3 breaths before you move. And then from there, check in with the body and notice what's actually needed now. And you'll do any final shapes that you need before we find ourselves into Shavasana. So for some of you, figure 4 might feel super fantastic. For some of you, a thigh root might feel super fantastic. For some of you, like happy baby might feel super fantastic. But you take that moment to be paused and still before you decide to move, so that you're moving in alignment with what really will help and serve you. And so you've got about a minute to explore whatever you're doing. And when you feel complete, you'll make your way to your resting pose, whether that's Shavasana, whether that's Supta Baddha Konasana, whether that's legs up the wall. But you're taking these last few breaths, last few breath cycles. To really honor what's going on. And then you'll make your way into your final resting pose. And your resting pose really is whatever allows you to drop in. Okay. Nice. Great. And so as you settle in, first task is to really get comfortable. So if there's something that doesn't feel 100% right, maybe move around until it does. So like one thing that we all could check is, what is the alignment of our chin to our sternum? If you're flat on the floor, does it feel like your chin and sternum are in the same line, both parallel to the floor? If you've propped your head, does it feel like the chin and the sternum are in one long line? And then I want everyone to pay attention to how their shoulder blades feel. Do the shoulder blades feel flat, evenly on the floor, right to left, evenly on the surface that they're resting into? Do you notice how you can open and broaden the collarbones just a little bit more so they almost smile? Notice the weight of your arms and your hands. Is there tension in the fingertips? Is there engagement in the arms, or can you allow that to soften and settle? And you'll travel down and notice what's happening in the pelvis. The right and the left side pretty even, pretty rooted. Bring your awareness next to the legs. If the legs are lifted, are they really right over the hip sockets? If the legs are down towards the floor, are you allowing them to just go with gravity and trust in the support beneath them? Notice what might be happening in the feet and the toes. And very last thing, come back to your jaw. Notice if there's gripping or tension there. If you can just let the top teeth and the bottom teeth have a bit of space. I want you to just take 3 big breaths in and 3 audible breaths out. And it can be a sigh. It could be like a yawn, but you're really letting the breath exit through the mouth. And with every exhale, the body just becomes heavier, droops a little bit more into the support of gravity. And as we settle in, I want you to bring your awareness to your abdomen. Yep. And I want you to just breathe as you naturally are doing involuntarily, but your awareness is staying in the abdomen. And as the body breathes in, you're noticing what happens to the abdomen. And as the body breathes out, you're noticing what happens to the abdomen. And you might find that this draws you in and it quiets you. You might find that it evokes thoughts. No worries either way. Whenever you notice that your awareness isn't in the abdomen and isn't watching the movement of breath, you congratulate yourself for that and just come back to watching the abdomen as the body breathes in and watching the abdomen as the body breathes out. You'll continue like this on your own for a few more minutes, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice what you notice. If there's any part of you that's longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here for a few more moments or a few more breath cycles. When you are ready to move on with your day, you'll allow small, gentle movement to re-enter into the body. From there, gently make your way to one of your sides. Just take a moment to be on the side, just to let the body continue to slowly come back. And then gently you'll roll your chest more towards the floor, press into your top hand, free the bottom hand, and draw your spine up to vertical. Once you are vertical, please elevate your bum on a block, a blanket, a pillow, anything that just lets the spine be long. And with the gaze either soft or inward, take the first few breath cycles to really just settle yourself in your shape. So if that means you need to fidget a little bit, you'll fidget a little bit. And then from an internal landscape, see if you can draw your ears over your shoulders. See if you can draw your shoulders over your hips. Notice if there's any tension in the mouth. Drop the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Drop the jaw slightly. And let the eyes soften back into the sockets. Soften any tension that might be in the hands. Let the pelvis receive the support beneath it. Let the legs receive the support beneath them. And you'll just take 3 breath cycles here. It's said in many ways that our natural state is perfectly at ease, it's perfectly calm, it's perfectly clear. But we lose sight of that a lot of times because of what is called avidya. We forget. We forget that who we are is completely perfect and wonderful and loving and lovable. We forget that really letting others know who we are helps them love who we are, and it helps us love who we are as well as love who they are. So as you take these last 3 breath cycles here, I want you to breathe into the heart space as best as you can. Reminding ourselves that the closest distance that we can love ourselves and love another is really what defines a healthy boundary. It allows both us and another to flourish. And so as you make your way from your mat and into the rest of your life, I just encourage you to remember how you might play with that concept today. Okay, let's go ahead and draw our hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of the thumbs into the sternum and lift your chest towards your hands. Soften any tension around your throat and then exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. To that light, to that breath, to that boundary, we bow. Namaste.